Assalamualaikum everyone. We are from Group 1. We will be presenting on the financial accounting and the reporting of a partnership business for Gula-Gula Bakery. Before that, let us introduce ourselves. Hello, my name is Adam Farhan bin Sharin. My metric number is 2024692504.
Hello, my name is Mama Anas bin Sui. My ID number is 2024211346.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Nur Arifa binti Shamsul Arif and my student ID is 2024245318.
Hello, my name is Norini binti Ismail. My ID number is 2024272216.
Hello, my name is Nur Shamira Azwa binti Fitli and my ID number is 2024272246.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Nusara Atila binti Yusri and my ID number is 2024423424.
Alright, first of all, I would like to say thank you for giving me this great opportunity to speak here today. It's truly an honor. Today, I want to share with you the business background. Alright, let me start off the business background. The name of this business known as a Gula-Gula Bakery. The business owned by Puan Nurul Ain bin Muhammad Hidayat and her friends. It means this type of business is a partnership. Next, we move to the shop location. Shop location of a Gula-Gula Bakery are based at College Dahlia in UiTM Puncak Lam. Specifically at shop number 5. This strategic location allows the business to serve the local community, especially the student and staff. And the last one of this slide is offer and services. This business specializes in a variety of baked goods and dessert, including bakery items such as bread and buns, pastry that freshly made every day, dessert to satisfy any sweet tooth, and of course a range of cookies, perfect for any occasion. Alright, now let's move on to the business operation of Gula-Gula Bakery. Gula-Gula Bakery has been operating for several months at the College Dahlia, UiTM Puncak Lam, and they are proud to say that the business is still going strong. Over this period, Gula-Gula Bakery have consistently provided quality baked goods and dessert, gaining the trust and loyalty of their customers. This brings us to the history of how Gula-Gula Bakery came to be. Let me share the story behind the business. Alright, the owner started the business after she saw the advertisement of a vacancy in College Dahlia. Inspired by opportunity, she took the initiative to establish this bakery with the vision of serving community with delicious treats.
Today, I have the pleasure of introducing you to the business characteristics of Gula-Gula Bakery. Let's dive into what's made this business unique and successful. First, let's begin with the business registration. Gula-Gula Bakery is registered under the Company Act of 2016 in Malaysia. This act governs the establishments, managements, and operation business to ensure that the Gula-Gula Bakery operates within the legal frameworks. Next, we look at the capital provider. The initial capital of 5,000 ringgit was provided by Puan Nurul Ain, sourced from her catering services. This capital was crucial for acquiring essential assets, including furniture and motor vehicles such as Toyota vans and Isuzu lorry used for transportation goods. Now onto the management and control. The bakery owner, Puan Ain, and her partner oversee the creations of the new menu, driven by their culinary expertise to develop new products. Sales are managed by the bakery staff, including part-time student employee under the owner guidance. Additionally, the procurement of the ingredient and supply is handled by the owner or the designated staff member responsible for the inventory management. Moving forward, let's discuss the book of account. Gula-Gula Bakery maintains several important records to ensure accurate financial tracking. This includes sales journal for credit sales, purchase journal for a credit purchase, a cash book for all cash transactions, return sales and return purchase for tracking returns, and a general journal for tracking non-regular transactions like adjustment and depreciation.
Today I will be presenting on the business classification of Gula-Gula Bakery. It consists of the capital, assets, liabilities, revenues, and the expenses. First of all, the capital. Capital refers to the financial resources that a business owner invests into a business to fund its operations. For Gula-Gula Bakery, Puan Ain and her friend contributed around 5,000 to start the business, and it was earned through their catering services business. Next, I will be talking about assets. As we all know, there are two types of assets that are known as non-current assets and current assets. So, non-current assets are assets that are expected to provide economic benefits to the business for a period longer than 1 year. So for Gula-Gula Bakery, this includes an Isuzu lorry and a Toyota van as a means of transportation of the goods. Then they also own ovens, mixers and refrigerators for producing purposes. Not only that, they also have furniture for the displaying purposes. Then we move on to the current assets. Current assets can be defined as assets that can be converted into cash within 1 year. So for Gula-Gula Bakery, this includes the cash that Puan Ain has in hand and also the cash at banks that are earned through their daily sales. Moving on to liabilities. Liabilities are financial obligations or debts that a business owes to external parties. So for Gula-Gula Bakery, Puan Ain confirmed that this business does not have any liabilities, as she did not take out any loan when she first started the business, nor does she have any suppliers, as she herself self-supply all the ingredients.
Okay, now I will present about revenue. Revenue is a key measure of business performance, showing how much money is earned from its core activities. It is calculated by multiplying the price of the product or service by the number of items sold. In the case of Gula-Gula Bakery, they earned RM4,000 over 7 months by selling their baked goods, highlighting their ability to attract and serve customers consistently during this period. Next, I will be explaining about expenses of Gula-Gula Bakery. Gula-Gula Bakery incurs several monthly expenses essential for its operation. These include RM450 for renting the premise and RM80 for utilities such as electricity, water. The bakery spent RM6,000 on wages to compensate its workforce, which consists of 5 full-time staff and 5 part-time student workers. Additionally, the cost of ingredients like butter, flour, and sugar range between RM700 to RM800 per week to support production and services. These expenses are vital to maintain the bakery operation and ensuring its business continuity.
So moving on to the recording process, there are 6 recording processes that we have been through throughout the entire interview with the vendors. So starting off with the first one, which is source of document. There are 3 source of documentation that we have gathered so far, which is first off, original documentation of the transaction. Secondly, receipts and invoices from the vendors. And last but not least, offer evidence of the financial events that have taken place. So, as for the original documentation of a transaction, this refers to the first-hand or primary records that has captured the details of financial events or transactions. This The original documentation also includes a few important details, including the date of the transaction, parties involved, the amount of money that has been involved, and last but not least, the description of the goods or services that has been exchanged. And then there's also receipts. A receipt is a written acknowledgement from a seller to their buyers. These receipts and invoices also include important details such as the date of the transaction, sellers and buyers information, list of the items that has been purchased or exchanged, the amount that has been paid from the buyer to the seller, and last but not least, what method of payment that the buyer has used, which is it can be cash, whether cash or credit. So the third one, which is offer evidence of financial events, which include receipts and invoices that I said earlier. They serve as a concrete evidence of the financial transactions that take place between the two parties, which is the buyer and the seller itself. So as for the receipt and invoices, as for the receipt, it proves that a payment has been made as for the goods or services that has been exchanged. And on the other hand, when it comes to the invoices, it shows that a transaction is pending and must be paid, which can also represent a liability for the buyer. So moving on to the second process, which is journals, which include a book of prime entry, which we can also call it as journals or a day book. It serves as an initial report or a primary document for every transaction that has been made under the business. For instance, it includes transactions such as cash sales, where credit sales are credited and cash are debited. So moving on to the third recording process, which is ledgers. Financial transactions are transferred to the corresponding accounts following the double entry accounting method. For instance, the vendor has chosen the purchases account. In accounting, when a business makes a transaction with a vendor, it follows the double entry accounting method, which ensures that every transaction that is made will affect at least two accounts. This method helps keep the financial records balanced and strictly accurate. For instance, there are a few double entry accounting with vendors, including transactions such as debits and credits. When it comes to debits increases in assets or expenses, and credits increases in liabilities or revenue. So these entries must always be ensured that it's balanced, meaning the total debits equal to the total credits. So before we move on to the fourth recording process, I'd like to share with you some pros and cons when it comes to source of documents. So starting off with the pros, there are three pros that we can see from source of document, which is source of documents can be credible and reliable because it comes from experts of or well-known organizations like universities or governments, so it's usually trustworthy. Secondly, source of documents can be quite accurate because the information that have been gathered is often fact-checked and backed by evidence or references. And last but not least, it's detailed information because good sources provide in-depth and thorough explanations. On the other hand, the cons for source of documents can be quite biased, outdated, and lack of transparency because the sources can be a bit unclear depending on the situation. Because most of the source of documents can be old or no longer relevant to these days, especially in fast-changing fields. Hence, those are some pros and cons for source of documents. Moving on to the pros and cons for journals. There are also 3 pros for journals, which is detailed record, chronological order, and it can also help in error detection. Because journals provide a clear record, so it's easier to find mistakes early on. Moving on to the cons of journals. Journals can be quite time consuming because the transactions must be recorded one by one, each by each detail, which can be very time consuming. Besides, it is not easily readable or summaries. Journals are great for detailed entries, but not ideal for quickly seeing overall financial status. Hence, those are the pros and cons for journals. So moving on to ledgers, there are also quite a few pros and cons for ledgers, starting off with organized by account, summarize information, and it can also help in preparing financial statements. So those are the pros for ledgers. Moving on to the cons for ledgers. Ledgers requires transferring data, and it can become quite complex because larger businesses with many transactions can make ledgers be quite complicated and hard to manage. So those are the pros and cons for those 3 processes that I have mentioned earlier. So now we can move on to the 4th recording process. So moving on to the 4th process, which is trial balance. The vendors mentioned that they check that the total debits match the total credits on every closing that they have made every single day. They also consolidate the balances in the general ledger. In addition, this is typically done at the end of each month. This is to ensure the accuracy of accounting records and prepares for financial reporting and verifies vendor payments and receivables. This can really help to ensure that accounts like accounts payable, money the vendor owes, and accounts receivable, money the vendor is owed, are accurately recorded. This helps vendors keep track of outstanding payments or debts that they have throughout each month and every single day. However, there are also some pros and cons of trial balance. Starting off with the pros, which is error detection, foundation for financial statements, and quick overview. When it comes to error detection, trial balance helps find mistakes by ensuring debits equals to credits. Then, when it comes to foundation for financial statements, trial balance can be very helpful and useful to prepare the income statement and balance sheet. And moving on, and last but not least, quick overview. Trial balance can help to provide a summary for every account balances. However, there are also some cons when it comes to trial balance, which is sometimes trial balance doesn't catch all errors. There are also some mistakes like wrong accounts that might still have the remaining balance. Secondly, trial balance requires very limited info. It only lists account balances, not a full financial analysis. Third, trial balance requires manual work. I mean, with the meaning of this, manual work can be very time consuming and prone to errors in manual systems, which can be very time consuming and complicated to some people. So those are the pros and cons for trial balance. So let's move on to the 5th recording process, shall we? So the next recording process is trial balance adjustment. Not as similar as the previous one, which is trial balance. This one is more to the adjustment. So the vendors mentioned that making journal entries to revise and update the trial balance, which is a very typical job for the accountant at Gula-Gula Bakery, which make them accountable for performing every single adjustment for the trial balance. Okay, similar to the previous recording process, which is trial balance. As for trial balance adjustment, there are also pros and cons of it. Starting off with the pros, there are fixed errors. Trial balance adjustment helps to correct mistakes. For instance, they can help to correct wrong entries or amounts that have been inserted in the accounting records. Secondly, trial balance adjustments can be quite accurate when it comes to financial reporting. It can help to ensure that the financial statements reflect the true financial position. And last but not least, for the pros, which is improves balance. Trial balance adjustment can help to balance the trial balance by making necessary adjustment to the accounts required. However, when it comes to cons of trial balance adjustment, it can be very time-consuming. Similar to the previous one, it can be quite time-consuming since it can take time to identify and make all necessary corrections to the trial balance. Next, there would be potential for new mistakes. For instance, adjustments can introduce new errors if not done carefully. If I'm gonna give you guys a situation. If we try to correct a mistake, it can lead to a bigger mistakes. It's similar to that kind of situation. And last but not least, trial balance adjustments requires expertise. Proper adjustments need accounting knowledge to ensure the accuracy of every single information that is inserted in the trial balance. Hence, those are the pros and cons for trial balance adjustment. And last but not least, the final recording process that we have concluded, which is financial statements. Financial statements are formal documentation of financial performance, financial position, and changes in financial position. For instance, the statement of profit or loss and the statement of financial position that are involved in the business. As for the pros and cons for financial statements, starting off with the pros, financial statements provide a clear view of a snapshot of a company's financial health. And then financial statements also can be very helpful when it comes to decision making. When it comes to businesses, investors, and shareholders make informed decisions. And thirdly, financial statements can be very helpful when it comes to legal requirement, including many businesses must prepare them for tax and compliance purposes. And last but not least, for the pros, financial statements can help to track performance, allowing companies to track progress over the time, consistently and gradually. However, despite all the pros of financial statements that I've mentioned earlier, there are also some cons of financial statements, which is financial statements can be very limited when it comes to the information provided. They may not allow or show the full picture of a company situation. They can also be manipulated. Financial statements can also be manipulated. If not carefully prepared, they can be subject to mispresentation or fraud or scams. And last but not least, similar to the previous ones, financial statements can also be quite time-consuming when it comes to preparing accurate financial statements, because they can be quite complex and very detailed. expense. Those are the pros and cons for financial statements. Okay, moving on to the third one, which is offer evidence of financial events. Receipts and invoices acts as a concrete evidence for every transaction that has been made. For instance, when it comes to a receipt or invoice, or when it comes to a receipt, the receipt proves that a payment has been made between goods and services. On the other hand, when it comes to invoices, it shows that a transaction is pending, and it can also act as a liability.
Today, I would like to talk about the strengths and the weaknesses of Gula-Gula bakery. The definition of strengths is a resource or capacity that an organization can use to achieve its goal and differentiate it from competition. Gula-Gula bakery has their own strengths that they can stay in the business. First of all, Bakery Gula-Gula has their own strategic area. As you know, strategic areas, it is important for the owners to start their business. One I choose College Jaya at the campus UiTM Puncak Alam at shop number 5. It is the only bakery available. This guarantees a loyal customer, especially students seeking a dessert and cookies. Secondly, the business has strong teamwork based on the solid understanding between the workers and owners, as well as among the workers themselves. As you know, Puan Ain has created a collaborative work environment which not only enhance productivity but also ensure a positive workplace culture. When the team work in harmony, it leads to better service and high quality outcomes for the customer. Thirdly, Puan Ain is dedicated to using only the highest quality ingredients for her bakery products. This commitment ensures the product freshness and contributes to the longer shelf life of the baked goods. By maintaining high standards, Gula-Gula bakery stands out as a reliable source for a premium bakery items. Not only that, the bakery consistently meets and exceeds the customer expectations. Puan Ain has put a reputation for delivering satisfaction through delicious product and exceptional service. Customers know they can trust Gula-Gula bakery to provide the best. The weakness means a characteristic that put it a disadvantage compared to the others. Now I will talk about some challenges faced by Gula-Gula bakery. The first one is the bakery relies on part-time student workers, which poses some challenges. Human errors such as mistakes in entering transaction entries can result in short gauges when the profit calculated at the end of the day. Many student workers lack prior experience in handling customer and recording transaction accurately. Puan Ain will experience difficulties in improving the efficiency of her business operations. Operational issues are another concern for Gula-Gula bakery. The problem is in miscommunications, incorrect data entries, and mis-entries, which can affect the timely financial balance. These challenges highlight the need for streamlined processes and better communication within the team to avoid disruption. While inexperience among student workers also emphasize the importance of proper training. Without adequate training, errors are more likely to occur. Training can help workers to become more confident and ensure smoother operations, ultimately improving customer satisfaction and minimizing disruption. By addressing this issue, Puan Ain can ensure her business continues to grow and succeed.
That's all from us. Thank you.